Hi guys, Andy here, and today we are gonna do another Tense Adventure game. The trial of Lizzie Borden. Sorry, I got my mind on the legend of Lizzie Borden, and I hope you didn't hear that truck passing by. This is my fourth time recording this fucking video because my audio fucking messed up. I had no idea what the hell went wrong, so I'm using a different approach to it. Let's get this game fucking started because I'm tired of fucking reading the same thing over and over again. The sweltering June heat makes your head spin. The other members of the jury shuffle about the room, talking amongst themselves or out sitting on one of the benches lining the room, as you are. You take a sip of water from the glass you are holding, trying to quench your thirst. The cool water calms you, helps you think clearly. One of the guards enters the room and announces, "Recess ends in 5 minutes. And now we have to reconsider the evidence." You recall the evidence already laid out before you. On August 4th, 1892, Lizzie Borden screamed upstairs for the maid at a little after 11 o'clock in the morning. Bridget Sullivan rushed downstairs to find Lizzie standing over the dead body of her father, who had taken multiple swings to the face. Later, the body of her stepmother had been discovered, who had met a similar fate. Lizzie's stepmother's body had been found cold, while her father's body was warm, signifying that she had been killed at least 90 minutes earlier. Originally, the prime suspect had been a young laborer who, when he had asked for payment for the job he had done, was denied. However, the man had been cleared and Lizzie had been taken in for questioning on the grounds that she had gone to the drugstore and attempted to buy prussic acid, a poison. Lizzie was questioned by the police, and her story often contradicted itself. Jesus Christ. Also, Lizzie was rumored to have a poor relationship with her stepmother, giving her probable cause. Today, Alice Russell will share her testimony. The guard re-enters and announces the end of recess. And now we're gonna enter the courtroom. Give me 1 second. Let me double check on my fucking audio. Yeah, we're good. Upon entering the courtroom, you see a young girl sitting in the box next to the judge's seat. You sit down on the bench. The prosecution begins questioning the girl. "You're Alice M. Russell?" "Yes." "Personal friend at Miss Borden's?" "Yes." "You were present in Miss Borden's house on the day of August 4th, 1892? "Yes." The questions continue on for a while. Finally, the reasons for Alice's witness becomes evident when the prosecutors ask her what exactly happened on the Sunday after the homicide. Russell replied, "After waking, I ate breakfast and then came down before noon. I came down to find Lizzie tearing up one of her dresses and burning it. When asked her what she was doing, she replied, 'I'm burning this whole thing up, as it is covered in paint.' You consider the implications in this. It could be harmless and Lizzie was honestly getting rid of a dress she didn't need. However, it could also mean that she was destroying evidence. The questions continue on, but they aren't of much importance, mostly the defendant trying to disprove the witness. Afterwards, you return home. The cool night air feels good in comparison with the stuffiness of the courtroom. As you walk home, you pass Second Street on which the Bordens live. You hesitate for a moment. We have the option of searching the Borden house or continuing home. We're gonna fucking search the house. You quickly turn onto Second Street, rushing down the sidewalk with your head down. You come to the front of the Borden house, seeing a door and two windows. The three seem latched tight. You walk around the house and enter the backyard. After some searching, you find an axe head. You grab it and flee the premises. You then drop the axe head off at the police station. When you finally get home, you fall onto the bed and fall asleep. The next morning, you leave to the courtroom once again. Upon arriving, you sit down and the case resumes. The prosecution presents the axe head that was found on the Borden's property, as well as the skulls of Mr. and Mrs. Borden. Suddenly, Lizzie Borden faints. You wonder if Lizzie really feels faint, or if it is an act. When she awakens, the prosecutors attempt to fit the axe head with the skulls. It's a rough fit, but as the defense argues, almost any axe head will fit the skull. And whether or not this one fits is irrelevant. They then brought in Bridget Sullivan, who testified that Lizzie was the only person she saw in the home on the morning of the murders, but she had never seen any tenseness between Lizzie and her stepmother. Sullivan also testified that Andrew and Abby had had stomach pains the night before the murder. Next, they brought in Dr. Seabury Bowen, who had been called by Lizzie after the murders. He said that he believed that the morphine he had prescribed to her might give a reason for her confused interview. Adelaide Churchill recounted seeing Lizzie wearing a blue dress, but it was not covered in blood. Finally, it was the defense's turn to give their case. They began by pointing out that the handle brought in by the prosecution had no handle. Okay. They also pointed out faults in the state's timeline. The state had said that between Andrew's murder and Lizzie's call up to the maid, there were between 8 and 13 minutes. The defense pointed out the difficulty of washing blood off of one's clothes, body, and acts, then effectively hiding the weapon in such a small amount of time. They then caused the state to rule out the prussic acid evidence by bringing in a variety of chemists, druggists, and medical experts to explain the use of prussic acid outside that of poison. They also brought in a few witnesses, including Benjamin Hadley, who testified that he saw a man on the sidewalk near 2nd Street around 10:30, and Emma Borden, Lizzie's sister, who testified that Lizzie had a good relationship with her father, and that Mr. Borden had been wearing a ring given to him by Lizzie on the day of his death. Finally, they had Lizzie's interview excluded on the fact that, at the time of the interview, she was without an attorney. The interview was not voluntary, and she had not been given her rights. That's where they fucked up as well. The defense ended their case by saying that there is just not enough evidence to prove Lizzie's guilt. The room sat in silence for a moment. Everyone was shocked. Suddenly, the judge turns to you and the rest of the jurors. He's giving you the judge's charge. Then you're hurriedly escorted from the room. Someone hands you a glass of cold water and sits you down. Many of the jurors are talking, but you remain seated, thinking. Lizzie Borden was alone downstairs at the time of the murder, but the defense is correct in stating it is unlikely Lizzie could have effectively hidden the evidence from the police in such a short amount of time. However, she is also seen burning a dress, which could very easily be incriminating. At the same time, she could also be telling the truth. We seem to have reached an impasse. One of the other jurors turn around to face you. You're the only one who has not said whether or not you believe she's guilty. What do you think? Let's just go with what really happened. They voted her not guilty because of a lack of actual evidence. You can't. All of it is very circumstantial in this case. The others nod. 5 against 4. Everyone stands up, and one of the jurors tells the guard that we are ready to deliver the verdict. Ugh. The guard nods, and then escorts the 9 of you into the courtroom. You stand in the middle of the jury and announce, "Not guilty." Lizzie gasps, then falls forward onto the railing, resting her head. A collective cry of celebration erupts from the crowd. It appears that most people would agree that Lizzie could not have committed such an act. On June 20th, 1893, Lizzie Borden is declared not guilty. She returns home with her sister, Emma. The trial will live on in infamy as one of the most controversial court cases of all time. Way to end the video. Okay, my thoughts are I really enjoyed this. I like reading about Lizzie Borden and a bunch of other serial killers just because I think they're fascinating. But I do wish there was a little bit more to the story, such as Lizzie's actions prior to the murder. Um, like they said, what was she doing at the time of the murder? I believe was she was eating a peach, no pear, a pear. She was eating a pear in a barnyard. Uh, her relationship with her father. Her father's not financial troubles. He was very tight-fisted. He didn't like to share, and he didn't like to give out money. And if anyone murdered him, they stand to gain a lot of money. So the sister could have murdered him. The stepmother, well, she's dead. She died before him, so that's not an option. And the not guilty verdict. I believe the jury was all male, so they probably thought, "Oh, a woman can't murder somebody," so they set her free. But there's also a lot of evidence, or lack of evidence, I mean, that didn't help convict her at all. So that's my thoughts. I enjoyed this game. If you want to play it, I'll leave a link in the description. And if you want to, I recommend watching The Legend of Lizzie Borden. It stars Elizabeth Montgomery, and it's a really fantastic film. Like, trust me, you'll love it. There's not a whole lot of gore or anything. It's a really good portrayal of the court, which again is what this Dance Adventure is all about. But yeah, go watch Legend of Lizzie Borden. It's really fucking fantastic. Until then, I'll see you all in the next video. Have fun, be safe, and enjoy yourself. Bye!
Do come in. Someone has killed Father.